Thanks to our great sponsors, Jack Burford Chevrolet, ExpressRoofing.net, Cumberland Valley, National Bank, CSEP, State Farm Insurance, Jerry Goble Agent, Luxury Pet Services, Equipment, Sales and Rentals, May Marketing, KYMedia.net, Real Life Community Church, Time Warner Cable, and Madison County Schools.
Welcome to Madison County School Sports Television.
MCHS TV and Madison County School Sports.com present your look at local school sports. Oh, there you go. You got time. Go right. Goes up and under. Nice.
Welcome back to Madison County School Sports Television. I'm Samantha Burford. We're here at Jack Burford Chevrolet, and they're our official coaches sponsor. And today they're going to be our band director sponsor, our three-time state champion band director sponsor. Mr. Barton is with us today, and we want to say a big congratulations.
Thank you, Samantha.
Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
We're a little delayed. This was back in, what was the date?
I think it was October 30th.
October. I knew it was around Halloween, so
right
we're a little
Halloween.
delayed in congratulating you. We did it on social media. We're just a little delayed in getting the interview.
It's fine. I know that you've had other things on your plate.
We've all been a bit busy.
We have.
How has it been in the last month? Tell us. Give us a scoop.
It's been, we went to a national contest the week after state. We usually don't do that.
Yes.
So that was busy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had some different, just as luck would have, we had some other things set up. There was a musical that was occupying the auditorium, so we didn't really have our community recognition for the band
later.
Until last Monday.
Right.
So all that's kind of been delayed.
Yes, I drove by and I was like, what are all these cars doing here? And that's when I realized, oh yes, it's the exciting band celebration. So we want to remind everyone, you guys have made history.
We have. We're the first large school. Back
5A.
in 2005, KMEA changed the way it classified bands.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to classify them by the size of the actual band on the field. Now it's classified by the size of the student body that the band comes from. And created a fifth class. There used to be 4 classes, with the 4A being the big class. Now there's 5 classes, and 5A is the biggest class. 5A is the large school class.
Right.
And since they've done it, we're the first band to win 3 state titles in a row in 5A.
Has it really set in yet?
No, it doesn't. I pinch myself.
Do you? You're like, we just made history.
I'll wake up in the morning and go, we just won 5A we're the first big school to win 5A 3 years in a row.
Yes. Oh, listen, I know it is a very big collaborative effort. It takes a lot of people to keep this train going.
It does.
Parents, not to mention the many students. This is one of the biggest bands you guys have ever had, right?
This is by far the biggest band we've had. As a matter of fact, it's hard to say because everybody fudges their numbers a little bit. But I think we're the biggest band in the state, or it's possible that we're a couple of kids smaller than North Hardin.
Okay.
But it looked to me like we're as big as anybody out there. I know we're bigger.
Right.
I know we're bigger than Lafayette now, and bigger than Dunbar by a lot. We're almost 100 kids bigger than Dunbar.
Right. So do you contribute the success of this state championship to keep recruiting? You know you're going to have some 8th graders that were in the band this year that's moved up into the band, but keep moving them into central band, marching band.
We actually had fewer 8th graders just because
right.
We have a hard time. We've grown so fast that, this was the second year in a row we had to order uniforms, and ordering uniforms in the middle of the season is a nightmare because, everybody's...
It's hard to get.
It's hard to get them. And,
and get them to fit.
Get them to fit. So last year we had our bass drum line wasn't even in uniform. They were just wearing all black. And this year we had our pit kids, our front ensemble kids that played the xylophone. All those kids were in all black.
Okay.
Until the very last week or two of the season. That's how long
I
it took.
do remember that. I kept saying, why don't they have their uniforms? Where's their uniforms? They were telling me they're not in yet.
They don't have them.
They're not in. And I was like, well, that's probably a good thing because that way they'll have them for the state.
It was kind of funny. Yeah, well, funny but not funny. I was.
A weird kind of funny?
My mom died on March 14th, and the staff was going, like, during the whole time of her funeral and all that, there staff was like, oh, you're not recruiting, the band's falling apart, we're not going to have enough kids, we're not going to have enough players, we're going to shrink, we're not going to have enough kids, and we ended up having so many kids we couldn't put them in uniform.
Right, and had to order more.
Right.
And people got to remember, we're talking middle school and high schoolers. They're still growing.
Yes.
So I'm sure the uniforms that might have fit them in August and September.
There's a lot of difference between a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old.
Yes, especially boys. They really peak
They really,
at that time.
they really do. There are kids that grow as much as 6 or 7 inches. Well, I'm sure you remember that a couple of years ago when Anthony Davis was at UK. They used to joke about him being a guard. He was like 6'2", and then over one summer he grew to 6'11".
Yeah. It happens in the band too.
Yeah, it happens in the band too.
I tell you, I always enjoy between going out on the Phillips lot, between cheerleading back there and dance team back there, all summer long, watching you guys practice. And the parents all know this. You guys practice in rain,
Yes.
wind,
Yes.
a lot of rain. And, it's unbelievable, the conditions and the heat more than anything
This
in the
year's
summer.
is the heat.
Yes, that had to kill you. And then you had a few competitions early on where you had some rain.
Yeah.
I think your first two, you tell everyone you were getting ready to take the field, and no.
Yes, it was. We were at Beechwood, and we were just getting ready to step off. We saw, and it was a shame too, because we had a really good show this year, and the kids were into it.
Yeah.
We had a fantastic warm up, and the band sounded like $1 million, and we were walking down the steps at Beechwood to go on their field, and it just opened up. The sky just opened up.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it destroyed several $1,000s. It rained and the wind was so hard that it destroyed several $1,000s worth of their soccer equipment. It was really.
Yes.
And we just stayed in there, and it looked like it would stop, and then it started again. So we stayed in the gym. Which, can you imagine staying in one gym with 220 high school kids? Can you imagine how?
How many kids were actually in that gym?
Well, they were all acting. It was a supervision nightmare.
I'm sure it was. They thought it was a party.
Yeah,
Party town.
Kids, it was a party. And then they kind of jacked us around like they're going, okay, we're going to go. No, we're not going to go. Okay, we're going to go. And then
They kept watching the weather.
And then about 7 o'clock they go, well, I think we're going to call it off. I think what happened is their superintendent told them they had to
Call it off?
pull the plug on it, I think.
Yeah. So you really didn't get to compete
So
then.
we didn't get to compete then.
In the finals, yeah.
Then the next week we were scheduled
And that
to
was
go
just a
down-
regular competition for
Right.
those of you not following us. That was just
This
your first
normal-
competition.
Normal contest. Then the next week we were scheduled to go to Southern. And we got in a real nice practice. But about the time we got on the bus, it got really, really dark.
And you said, here it comes again.
And I called Dave Ratliff, who's the band director down at Southern. I don't know if you know
Yes.
Dave or not. But Dave goes, oh, I think we're gonna be right on the outskirts. So we got all our stuff out and we got ready to go. And then about the time we were lined up ready to go in the stadium, it rained really hard again.
Yes.
And we had to take off all our plumes. We had to unhook all of our electronics and stuff. And so it stopped raining after we played, and we stayed for the presentation of awards. And then, it kind of cleared off for a little while.
Right.
And then about the time
Because this was during the day, right?
Yeah, this was during the day.
The
but then we
Southern one
lined
was
up.
during the day.
Right.
Okay.
But
See,
it
I
also-
don't have a band child, but I follow you.
It's
I know.
Actually, it was during the day, and then they had a finals that night.
Right.
And then it's about the time we were in our warm up arc, and it starts sprinkling.
And you're like, this is a nightmare.
It really is, because we use a lot almost all the bands that are real competitive have gone to high-end electronics and synthesizers,
Yes.
electric music, tape, voiceovers, all that stuff, and none of it's very friendly with rain.
Right.
And
No.
so
And actually a little dangerous.
it's very dangerous. And we had a kid, bless her heart, an 8th grade kid, one of our few 8th graders this year, was playing synthesizer, and the thing just shorted out. You could almost see sparks fly, and while she was trying to play it.
Right.
And it was just, so that was kind of disastrous too.
Yeah, I'm thinking I know who that was. Okay, so we want to remind everyone, you guys won in 2014 with
Right.
Vendetta.
Right.
2015 was Explore.
Right.
And then this year was Deafening.
This year was deafening.
So it had a Beethoven.
Yeah, kind of Beethoven-y.
Kinda. I was
Yeah.
going to say a lot.
It had a lot of Beethoven.
So let's hear your thoughts on that and how you came of all that.
I wasn't big on the whole Beethoven idea. I've always loved Beethoven, and I'm kind of getting a stage in my career now where I thought, you've never done anything Beethoven-y or Beethoven-esque.
Yes.
And there are several things that I wanted to do. And so, I'm kind of getting a stage in my career where I thought, if you're going to get it done, you better do it now.
Right.
And I didn't have any other ideas, so I said, well, I'll throw down some of this Beethoven. And I wrote the first 3 or 4 minutes of the show, and I sent it out to staff, and I said, what does this sound like to you guys?
Right.
What spin?
Now, are they truthful?
Yeah.
Or do
Oh,
they
yeah,
just
yeah.
try to make you happy?
That's no.
Okay.
That's nobody on our staff. I think that's something about all good competitive organizations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody worries too much about anybody else's feelings.
Okay.
Uh,
So they're honest. They're saying,
Oh,
I know
yeah.
I don't like this.
No,
Or-
nobody ever. As a matter of fact, if anything, sometimes sometimes all of us will just say what's on our mind instead of just thinking through. We'll just go. I mean, I wouldn't say that we fight like cats and dogs, but when it comes to artistic
Right.
differences,
Express them.
everybody liked the way the show sounded, but nobody could agree on what we should do with it.
Okay.
And so we kicked it around and kicked it around and kicked it around. And finally, the idea actually came from one of our staff members' wives.
Really?
She happens to be a pianist. And she said, I like deafening sounds cool to me. And so when I heard that title, I fell in love with it. So I said,
And you said, that's it.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. Because, everybody, they're already trying to guess what you're going to do
Mm-hmm.
next year. It's always like, okay, next year, now that this season just ended. It's always like the anticipation, especially if they've got a child that they know will be in the band for next year. So I know your team has to be coming up with some thoughts already. But continue.
We do. I have a great show idea. And if I don't sell it to Central, I'll sell it to somebody else. But it's called Desperado, and it starts with that Eagles song.
Yes.
It's a great song, and it would work really, really well with a mellophone or trumpet solo, and then have a big impact after when all the chords come in, when the orchestra comes in behind the Eagles. It sounds great. And you already have all the weapons out there. They could do all kinds of shooting each other and spin and shoot, and
Yes.
it's tailor made.
Well, and it might be kind of fun. It might kind of teach them, okay, there may not be very many of them that know who the Eagles are.
They are. And I just keep assuming everybody in the free world knows who the Eagles are. But
We're talking a different generation.
I have to be careful because I'll say to my kids, well, Burt Bacharach or when Glenn Fry died from the Eagles back last year. I mean,
Who's that?
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
It's like they have no idea who that is.
Right. It's a different generation.
Yep.
So it might be kind of fun teaching them.
However, the judges are all
Yeah.
They'll
be
my
our
generation.
generation. Yeah. They'll know who the Eagles are.
They'll know who the Eagles are. Yep.
And they'll be singing along, I would
Yeah.
guess. So you said you guys are pretty honest and open. Now, tell me if this is true. I think it's true. Because from watching you guys at some of the Central home games and from what I hear at the competitions, you adjust and you keep making it more mature as far as realigning or making it better. What's your terminology for it? Each competition, it grows.
That's a great way to articulate that
Okay.
process. We continually watch, we continue to study, we listen to judges' tapes, but even before the judges' comments, we study it. We study it from different angles. We try to get as high as we can because there's 1,000 things that are very difficult, Mrs. Burford, and one of the things it is ultimately you get judged at a big stadium like L.T. Smith or this year was Papa John's.
Yes.
And the press boxes
Way up.
way up,
Yes.
and so ultimately you get judged from that vantage point.
So they're in the press box way up there.
They're in
the
the press,
judges.
yes. They're sitting down there in that press box, and it's really hard from, like, say, the top row of Central Stadium or even the top of Central press box to get a feel for what that would look like in Papa John's.
Yes. Much different stadium.
And yet the time that really counts is in Papa John's. So
Yes.
we're constantly, we'll do zoom angle things, and we'll try to figure out what's that going to look like. And it's hard, like in Madison Southern's, you've been in that press box.
Yes.
Well, that's almost like being from me to Randy
Yes.
here, and you're trying to.
Yes.
So you're not watching the whole formations. You're just watching a handful of kids, whatever handful of kids
Was
happens to be is moving on the 45-yard line.
Or on the piano.
Yeah, you can't see what's happening on a 20-yard line. It's literally impossible.
Right.
And we had this year, the band was so big, we had kids on the 2-yard line on both sides.
Yes.
We also brought kids off the front sideline. We took them to the back sideline. So it's very hard to get perspective. But back to your initial point, which is great terminology, we constantly adjust and mature the program, and we.
So you listen to the judges' critiques.
Yeah, we listen to judges' critiques, but we also do it ourselves. We even, and this will probably come as a surprise, but when we perform at football games, we'll go, we didn't get enough applause at this moment.
Okay.
We didn't get enough oohs and ahs here.
At a certain point that you thought
Yeah.
we should have.
And even though there's a lot of difference between the football crowd and the judges, generally speaking, if it doesn't get a human response,
It's going to be that way across the board.
It's going to be that way for the judges.
Yes.
So if there's a moment that we're excited about and it
Yes.
gets a golf clap or worse yet, nobody says anything, then we take a look at that moment. How can we set it up different?
Yes.
How can we
So
create?
you listen more than anything.
We listen when we watch it too. I mean, it's but we.
I enjoy watching you.
Yeah.
When you're down there on the track, I enjoy watching you because you can tell how into it you are. It is incredible. And you turn around and you can tell you're looking at the crowd, you're watching them, and you know when it's coming because you're like this and you're into it. And it's probably part of my favorite part.
Well, there's a
Left you speechless.
there's an old saying. There's an axiom in our business. If you notice the director, he's doing something he shouldn't.
But I know to watch you because that's part of my job. That's what I do. So that's what I'm looking to make sure, okay, yeah. He likes it or he doesn't like it.
I feel like this about it. It's not a concert. It's not real stuffy. It's outdoors.
Yes.
It's on the grass. And my thinking is, I tell our parents like this, it's kind of like an old camp meeting or an old revival meeting. If the Spirit moves you, then participate.
Yes.
I think that's one thing that was a little different. I think I'm sure we sold more tickets than anybody else to.
I would bet.
I think we sold 400 tickets to Papa John's.
That's what I heard. That they went in and bought 400 tickets.
Watching
altogether.
Well, a pretty good friend of yours, Larry Corey, is that was her baby.
Yes,
buying
the tickets so that you guys could all sit together.
Sit together.
And I think that's a fantastic idea. Speaking of parents, it's a well-oiled machine what
really
you guys
is.
have, and it's incredible that each parent pretty much knows their role, whether it be food. We've talked about it on our show with you in the past, but I don't know if some new viewers realize how much the parents do between feeding.
They're indispensable. It's
Feeding. Y'all feed them a lot.
They do. I mean, teenagers.
Yes.
Teenagers, even if they're laying on the couch, they eat a lot.
And if you think, how do you get that food from Richmond to Papa John's Stadium, to the parking lot, to actually feed them, or to the hotel parking lot? Or,
when we perform like that, we almost always find a staging area. We don't stage our kids in Papa John's Stadium.
Right.
We stage our kids like we're lucky to have a lady. God bless her. I don't know what we do without her, but she teaches. She's the band director at Iroquois High School, and Iroquois, even it's not like the fanciest school in Louisville or anything, but she's a wonderful lady, and they have a football field with a press box. And she allows us to use their cafeteria and their gym
Yes.
to dress in, and their football field to run through our football field. And I mean, I usually do something nice for her, like I buy her finals tickets and then donate to the school a little bit or something.
Yes.
But she's been so sweet and kind. Her name is Linda Pulley. She really deserves a shout out.
Definitely.
And Iroquois is only like 10 minutes from Papa John's.
Really?
So
you guys
we
can
stage
practice there.
we practice there, we stage, we eat.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'd be a nightmare to try to take that food to Papa John's.
Oh, yes.
Last year, whenever it's in Western, it's not as clearly defined. So last year we rented out a middle school close to the stadium, and then we staged there.
Yes.
But we don't try to stage in a.
Right.
But so we'll have the parents will rent trucks, and they'll get station wagons and trailers full of food, and they'll take all that food
Right.
and they'll set it up.
It's a lot.
It is
and
a lot.
People don't realize how much time and energy these parents have give and donate their time, whether it's the buying of the tickets or but going into Costco and getting all the food, because it's
I'm always hesitant to go down this road, but we can because you're friends with some of these ladies. I'm always afraid that if I start talking about one thing, I'll leave somebody out or somebody else.
Yes, and we don't. There's no intention, right?
But this year we had this big. We decided ultimately that it would be cool, since it's a deafening show and since Beethoven was a pianist. We had this. It looked like a piano, but it was really a prop. Mm-hmm. But it was somebody that's real clever. Chip Manuel actually spent about a month. I saw him in Myers, and I said, Chip, just hypothetically, what if I said we need you to build a lifelike Steinway piano out of plywood and make it
mobile,
and make it light enough so that it could be,
but sturdy so that
sturdy
you can
enough
sit
so
on it,
sturdy
and
enough
stand
so
on
that,
it,
so that kids could
twirl
climb,
rifles on it.
Kids could climb up on it and dance around on it.
Yes.
He looks at me and goes, I think I can do that.
And he did it.
And he did it.
And he did it.
And so shout out to him.
Yes. Yes. Agreed. We don't want to leave anybody
like
out because there's so many parents. I understand what you're saying.
There's also, we've got like a rock concert now. We've got all these speakers and all these synthesizers.
Yes.
And now we've moved to putting our synthesizer sounds on computer because we can get more lifelike sounds. There's a program called Mainstage. So now we got laptops. All the kids are sitting there. Not only are they playing their instruments, but they got laptop programs that they're working while they're playing.
It's incredible.
So that has to be set up in less than a minute. So you got 12 dads that are standing up there and they pounce.
Yes.
Whenever they say go, we got a timing penalty at semifinals.
Yes, I was going to get there. Let's go with it.
But
the semifinals in Papa John's Stadium, you guys got a whole point taken off in the semifinals.
It was
correct?
ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. Do y'all know very much about Papa John's? Have you been there?
I have been there. Yes.
Well, we come in from the south side,
Okay.
and it's got a hedge there, and it's only got a tiny gate. It's not even.
And you can't get 220 kids through that gate.
So a normal sane thing would have been to let us push our props and our instruments to the 30 or 40 yard line, so we could get them all down, and then they have a big red carpet at the team. It has a big cardinal head. And you know how bureaucracies are. We got over. I said, let's take the band down to the Cardinal Head. And there's a guy sitting there going, oh, you can't march on the Cardinal Head. You can't march on that red carpet. That's not reserved for the players, blah, blah, blah. And so I pitched a fit because I knew at that time we were going to get timing penalty. I knew there's no way that you could get all those props and all those kids. And to top it off, to make matters worse, the band behind us was late. They got a penalty too because they went into our time. So
So you were delayed from the
Yeah,
start.
and I think, I don't think we played really, really well.
Well, they were probably stressed.
They were, because I was screaming, get, go, set that stuff up, and I was screaming, you set up now. And we didn't. We normally we do some things to kind of let them breathe and relax and focus,
Okay.
and we didn't do any of that.
Right.
We just,
and it showed
yeah,
in the semifinals. So
Yeah.
you guys came in actually fourth
we did.
in the semifinals.
We did.
So when I know when I got word, I was like, okay, I knew last year you came in runner-up in the
Yep.
semifinals. So we were all thinking, uh-oh.
Well,
What did you think?
I've done it so many years. I don't ever have any preconceived notions. I always think, well, we run it again, see what happens.
Yeah.
It's not a good feeling. And again, I don't know that any band has ever gone in our class has gone from fourth to first between semis.
I would bet not.
I don't think anybody's
Right.
ever done that.
So
but
okay,
we were
keep
only
going.
we were only 7/10 out, which that's substantial. But considering the timing penalty, considering the kids being rushed and
Right.
and not being, and I didn't feel like the entire time. I felt like the entire thing was kind of. I just have a sixth sense. I mean, they played pretty well, but it was just a little bit unsettled, And at that quality of competition and that level, it has to be.
It has to be spot on.
It has to be spot on. It has to be on point.
Yes.
And I knew it wasn't on point, and so I was afraid we might not make it in because of the penalty. And so I called the office and I called the press box and started screaming, and they started screaming at me. But then, luckily we were so far ahead of whoever's in fifth that it wasn't. But
That's good.
our kids stepped it up. We had a great warm up. We went out and we had a very inspired practice. We had about an hour and a half practice at Iroquois. It was very inspired. They did a wonderful job.
Did you speak to the team?
Yes, yeah.
What did you say? We can fix this.
I said, this is nothing. This is seven. I said, the biggest thing I said was last year we came back from a .3 being down. This year we're only 7/10. So if you can come back from a .3, you can sure come back from 7/10. And also I said, that wasn't your best. We had that whole timing snafu. And I was screaming at you, if I have to scream at them for whatever, it's never going to go as well. It works best for us when we are positive and when we're inspirational, and we start screaming and yelling.
Because they have to be calm.
Yes.
They have to control their breathing.
Yes, they have to be calm.
It has to be calm. So how did you fix the timing? You went through the same gate, right?
Well, we talked to the KMEA officials, and they agreed to let us push all of our equipment to close to the 50, so the dads wouldn't have to push it from the 0 to the 50. They're going to push it, and then they let all the kids walk down that red carpet thing.
Okay.
And then allowing the band to walk, that red carpet is as wide as from here to that wall. You can see it anytime U of L has a game. UK plays there this weekend, but it's a little red carpet. And it's got a cardinal head on it.
Yes.
And so
I can't imagine that you guys were the only one that had that kind of issue.
Well,
especially since North Hardin is about as big.
Our show is a tiny bit longer. We have this long walk on that we do, the Beethoven's Path of Teague.
Yes.
We have a little
It's
jazz
quiet.
walk that we do. We're kind of famous for this jazz walk. It's called a coupe. Your daughter's a dancer.
Yes.
So I'm sure you know what coupe is, but basically it's a jazz walk where you drag your toe on the ground and
then they stop and pose.
Yeah, and we do. They stop and do different things where they're covering their ears.
Covering their ears for deafening.
Right.
Exactly.
So
how did you? I never really watched them put the piano together in the front.
The piano itself
They
was
put it
on.
together over here and then roll it.
The piano itself is in one piece. The only thing that they do is screw the legs into that.
Okay.
But the stage was the big issue because it's on this round stage.
Yes.
And the piano sits on the stage. The stage was hard. The stage took about 4 guys working as hard as they could work.
And it's quick, yes.
Yeah.
And it was actually a synthesizer on.
Yes,
that
there's
he
actually a
was playing.
synthesizer tucked into the keyboard of the piano.
And it was Josh
Atherton
that played.
He did, and sometimes little things. It's hard to know. When I'm sitting there in my office in my studio, and I'm sitting there banging away on the piano, I think, "Oh, this sounds great." And then, you see the kids actually play it, and you go, that's missing something. And this kid, Josh, he's a great, one of the most delightful students I've ever worked with. His dad's a Methodist minister, and all the Methodist church moves their ministers every 3 or 4 years. It's just what they do. And so Josh's dad moved to Madison County, where I think he's the it's Waco or Bybee, or it's one of those the Methodist church out in that area, whatever it's called. But Josh's dad got assigned to the Waco or Bybee, and Josh went to Madison Central.
Right.
But he had gone to the School for the Performing Arts in Lexington, and his performance area was both voice and piano, and so he was a great kid. I liked him the first time I met him. I thought he was terrific, and he's a wonderful musician. So I went back and I wrote in Beethoven excerpts over all the top of the wind parts. And that seemed to give that show a little bit more life, and it seemed to bring it to life a little bit more.
Yes. And I believe when we talked, I guess at one of the Central games, you wrote a solo.
I did.
For Mr. Corey.
Yes.
For Peter.
Well, it's just like,
who's a senior, we might add.
One of the coaches for the Lakers, I can't remember who it was. I know I'm using a lot of, maybe it's fitting to use since it's sports TV, use sports analogies.
Yes.
But, a coach for the Lakers was famous for saying, we don't have to think too hard. Just get the ball to Kareem. Just throw the ball into Kareem.
and he'll dunk it.
Yes. Throw the ball to Kareem.
Yeah.
And, Peter was our Kareem, and I knew, and
you knew you had somebody special.
I knew he had somebody really talented and really special. I wrote him a little solo last year, and he did a great job with it. So
this one was longer.
This was longer, and it was more elaborate. It was more, the solo last year was kind of written to showcase the show. This year it showcased the show, but it also showcased the theme. I meant to say, but it also showcased the player.
Yes.
It showed him off.
Yes.
And
you never had any doubt.
All my kids are important to me, but I was writing that show, and I always let the staff listen. I'll write a couple of phrases, and then I'll put it on MP3, and I'll let the staff listen to it, and then I'll write another 3 phrases. And we're all sitting there, and we almost said in one breath, "Peter's such a good player. Why don't we make that solo a little longer?"
Okay.
And so I went home and played with it. I actually used a combination of some movie themes that I really liked, and for that.
You did?
I did.
Okay. What did Peter say when you presented it to him?
I don't know how well you know Peter. He doesn't say much.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. So
I said, Peter, if I write you a really long, elaborate solo, are you up for that? And he goes, "Oh yeah." And that's all he said.
And that's all you needed.
I wrote it for him, and doggone if he wasn't playing the first day of camp. But you just have to. If you have a world-class flute player, then you got to write a world-class flute. You have to showcase her or him, what the case may be. If you have, that's part of it. You have to find what you have and showcase. We also had a girl. She is a dancer, but she's really talented. Ann.
I was getting there. I was going to get there.
She. We knew she's very cool. I'm thinking about playing a piano thing with a band. I'm writing a thing for our concert on December the 8th. I'm writing an arrangement of this tune called Hallelujah. I don't know if you know that tune or not, but it's a beautiful, beautiful tune. And I thought about writing myself a piano part to play along with the kids. I thought that would be really cool.
Okay. And
so I was playing it today in the second period. And I thought to myself, how hard it is to play something perfect, And Ann gets up there on top of that stage and on top of that piano, and she tosses what we call a quad, which basically means the rifle has 5 rotations before she catches it.
And I'm going to tell you, my heart stopped every time because the music goes silent, right?
Yes.
And she catches it. Did you ever think, oh God, she's not going to catch it?
I always thought she would. I always had a strange feeling.
I always thought she would too, but you still sit there on the edge going, and she caught it every time that I saw. Her parents probably they were probably more on the edge than you.
back to me trying to play just a very simple piano thing and try to work it up good enough to play at a concert. It's not being judged. When you think about these, I guess Anne's 16 or 17.
Yes.
Maybe 16. When you think about
I know
it,
she's driving, so she's at least 16.
But you take a child that's and I say child, you take a child and you put them in front of Papa James. It was a beautiful night. It was Drew Munns, our principal, he always comes down for the finals, and we were just looking at all those people, and he's like shaking his head, and I was too. How does a girl, that music is written to showcase her.
Yes.
It's written, it stops. I mean, it goes from loud as all get out
to stop.
And it stops on
and
a dime while
she
she talks. And the kick of that music is, the impact is, it gets loud again when she catches that rifle. And and if it all works, everybody goes out, everybody goes nuts.
Because I even have, watching it, thought to myself, wonder what the timing is on that. Because I know that there's a count.
It's 4 counts at 160 beats a minute.
There you go. Because I've thought it to myself. I thought, because the people in the back, they can't see her. Mm-hmm. People on the other side can't see her.
But you think again, and I think about my little girls, Callie Boggs and Gemma
Yes.
They climb up that ladder, and they got all those people, and they got all these incredible. And I'm thinking, I'm having trouble playing this little 6, 7, 8 note thing.
And they're directing.
And they're out there directing this 8-minute program of mixed meter, and they're doing it with, I can't even put myself in their shoes. And I think about Peter climbing on the top of that piano. All these kids has a tremendous exposure. Mm-hmm. They're playing in front of literally 20, 22, 23,000 people.
1,000 people.
And
especially at the Bands of America that you went to later.
But they're sitting there, and they're looking at that Papa John Stadium full of people, and I almost don't know how they have the nerve to do it. It freaks me out just thinking about it.
They're younger.
I guess they don't.
Their hearts are stronger.
They don't know the number of things that go wrong. Peter could slip off that piano. He could fall. He could drop his saxophone.
And could drop the rifle.
Dan could drop the rifle, or the rifle could a gust of wind could come
whack
up and
somebody else,
blow it off, and hit Peter with it. It's just
many things.
You can't even think of the things that could go wrong. And I always say,
but you know what? They didn't.
They did.
They didn't.
And
that's, I think, can attribute that to the many hours of practice.
Well, when people say, you all practice a lot. Well, yes, we do. They have to know that program. It has to be.
Yeah.
They can't think about performing successfully. They have to think about performing it perfectly. We have the saying, perfect practice begets perfect performance, and they have to practice. They can't think about actually just doing it. They have to think about doing it perfectly. They have to think about doing it. Mm-hmm. They have to have the freedom. They have to do it so many times that when the audience and the lights come on, it's showtime. It's
just natural.
Mm-hmm.
They've done it so many times. So out of the 3 state titles, is this one the best?
I think that's saying which one of your children you like the best. They all have their merits.
Yes. It wasn't raining this time.
This was the nicest by far.
Yeah.
This was the nicest
best
environment.
Weather.
It was the big crowd. It was the biggest crowd. It was the best weather. It was the nice. Papa John's is a little nicer than L.T. Smith or Eastern.
Yes.
No offense to Eastern, but the Papa John's, it's a Division I stadium.
That's right.
And it's got, I don't know if they've had 2 or 3 different building like when you get on the inside, they've renovated the stadium 2 or 3 times. When you're on the ground level, that thing looks like you're in the middle of the Empire State Building. I mean, you see nothing but bleachers as high as the eye can see. It's a beautiful stadium too, and it's got really good acoustics. The band sounds warm and rich and nice in there. So for the actual performance night, this was my favorite.
Yes.
Vendetta had this little spark. And I think that was the night the band found itself. That when they realized they didn't have to be second or third or fourth place to the Lexington schools and North Hardin, Vendetta, those kids were just on fire. It was just magical.
Yes.
Explore, it was just gritty. It's just old-fashioned. Roll up your sleeves and go out there and wade through the mud. It rained like. It rained buckets and buckets and buckets, but that was just a gritty effort on their part.
Right.
So, but
So there's something special about all
there's
three.
something very
You know
special
there
about
is.
each one.
Yeah. So you get to keep this beautiful trophy. Well, we want to make sure everybody
For a year.
sees for the year. So it's a traveling trophy.
It is.
So next year,
Every year
hopefully
they
we'll come
put
back.
somebody else's name, or they
Right.
put our name on it, whoever.
And so you have to pay to put your own name on there.
Yeah.
That's why you guys are constantly fundraising. I just bought some oranges.
That only costs about $20. Those are good oranges.
I just bought some.
I think
You
you'll
guys
enjoy
are-
those. If you don't really like them, let me know, and I'll find you a box that's great. I don't want John sitting there getting ready to come to Burford in the morning and it's 6 o'clock in the morning and
Listen.
eat a bad orange.
No. We parents that have children that do athletics and whatever it is, band or archery, we're all trying to raise money. So
We
we
are.
know that we're always trying to buy things because it's always for a good cause. So it's for the best.
I always buy poinsettias.
From the cheerleaders.
For a while, I bought
Mums.
from Kenny Roberts when his daughter was in it. I
Yep,
always buy
yep.
mums from the
Mums,
chorus. We have
In the
more
boys' soccer.
We have more mums in our yard than any human being
Yeah.
should ever have.
Yeah, because people don't realize it, but you have to pay to have your name put on here. I mean, it's not
it's only like
much.
$25.
Yeah, it's not much, but it's still a cost.
It is.
You know, but it's a well-deserved cost. Where do you keep it?
You know, it is Madison Central. You know, we take a little bit of pride. We don't, what my dad would have called put on airs. We don't do that. We just throw it up on top of my bookcase. You know,
Yeah.
like where I hang my coat, we just lay it on there.
Yeah.
And somebody pointed out to me, it's been there for longer than 1,000 days.
I
We
think
do
that's
have to
pretty
give it back.
fantastic.
We do have to give it
And
back.
it's heavy.
Oh,
People don't realize this,
it weighs a
but
ton.
it's heavy.
It weighs a ton. We
It's-
have the kids have named it Bryson.
Okay.
I don't know why. I mean, this is go figure kids. You know, they give their trumpets names. They name
Right.
their. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just. I don't understand kids, but they call it Bryson, and they go, "Oh, Bryson's back." You know,
Yeah.
we have to give it back to. They tighten it and shine it and everything for about a month. So we have to get it back in September, the last part of September, and
Oh,
then
you
we
do?
always. We make a little ceremony where we gather around and say goodbye to Bryson.
Yes.
Hope to see you again soon. And
Has
just
this
remember.
been its name for 3 years, or
Yes,
did they
that's-
change the name?
No, I think they called it that the first year we won it.
Okay. You know, I've seen on social media, back to some parents, you've had some parents that have been helping you. Like, they've had 3 children on your teams over the last, 13 years, 8 years. I'm not really
We
sure.
just graduated a family.
Crazy.
We the Wits. I don't know if you know Mark. I don't know. If you're
That's what I'm
Mark.
talking about.
They had Jacob marks 13, the end of 13 years of their involvement with it.
13. It's crazy, yes.
That's
I saw
crazy.
it on
That's
social media.
There's and we have a lot of families that have been involved. We have a family, the Whitakers, that their little girl Erica will graduate next year, and they've been involved for 14 or 15.
Wow.
So I mean, and it's funny because back when Emily, that's Mark and Jennifer's oldest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jennifer used to do the food way back in the day, and Jennifer go, well, 11 more years, and you know I can still see her saying 11 more years, but you know that.
And they loved every minute of it.
But that time passes. It really
Quickly.
does. We were talking about
Yes,
your
it does.
kids today.
Yes.
You know,
It goes fast.
before you know it, there's a time that comes and you wish you were going to band practice, or you wish you were going to cheer
That's right. Mm-hmm.
practice, or you wish you were.
Yes. Even when I'm at dance practice right now and we're sitting out there in the Phillips lot, I miss hearing you guys over there.
Yep.
I
mean,
do. Even that the season's over.
Time-
I know your season has moved on, not marching band, but concert
Right.
band. So you're moved into something different, but I still miss hearing you over there.
You know, my cousin Nancy Robertson, she's a big golfer, and she always says, you know, I feel like my golf game takes a couple of stroke hit whenever I don't hear the band, because it's always nice to hear the band.
When she's
you hear
at the country club.
Yeah, you hear the band ringing
Yeah,
around the
you
hills.
can.
A lot of the guys that live down, I know a lot of people live down in that those little houses or apartments down through there, will say, man. Every once in a while, they'll even come up and listen to the band, you know,
Yeah.
just because it's fun to.
Yes.
Sometimes we'll have as many as 100 people or 120 people to practice.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Especially, and when it got hot, they were all under the covered
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Now, will you all be marching in the Richmond Christmas
We
Parade?
are December 2nd.
December 2nd, Friday night. Good. You all should be leading it. Somebody should be carrying the trophy, like
I think-
the Lion King.
I've had a lot of things on my mind this year. This has been kind of a tough personal year. I started off behind where my mom died last year, and it was kind of a tough thing because me and my brother kind of shared caregiving. She had a series of strokes, and every time she'd have one, things would get worse. And we had this. We'd spend hour after hour, at both of us would, every weekend, every night. That was just part of our job. Finish school, then teach a few lessons, or have an after-school rehearsal, and jump in a truck and then go stay with mom till she go to sleep. We'd sometimes watch The Price is Right. Mercifully, she'd go to bed about 7. So I didn't get the kind of writing. I usually piddle with these things forever.
Yes.
And I didn't get these things, and
So you feel like you started a little late.
I got a little.
Yeah.
I felt like I was behind the 8 ball
Yeah.
all year, and I felt like there were good ideas. We had a hard time. It took a while for me to convince everybody into the deafening thing.
You did?
I finally just sent out a group email and say, "Hey,
This is what it's going to be?
We're going to do deafening. Start figuring out how we can make it work." I mean, it was nice. I try to be real nice.
You
But,
do. I know you do. But you are the director.
yeah, it is that.
So-
I heard that and I knew that was a.
Here's the $1,000 question. 2 questions. Everybody wants to know. The rumor is he going to retire? And then I asked you this last year. Everybody wants to know what's your thought process if you don't retire? What's it gonna be for next year?
I'm going to give you a very evasive answer if you don't mind.
I don't mind. They'll mind. I don't mind.
I don't think of my job as I don't really think, and my wife doesn't get this because she taught school for 30 years, and she doesn't get this, and almost nobody gets it. But I really don't think of my job as a job. I think of my job as an experience, and already I'm sure that sounds very evasive, but I have things that I do that I love doing. I talked to Alan Feldhouse today, bless his heart, and I said, Alan, we're probably 2 luckiest guys in Kentucky. We both do something that's not very important to most people's well-being or their physical beneficiary, and yet we have enough of a following that people will pay us a living wage to continue to do them.
And you do something that you get up and you love every day.
That's right. I know he loves it, and I do too. We're lucky enough to
So you don't call it a job.
I don't think of it as a job.
Right.
It's sort of an adventure every day, and
You are being evasive.
the scope of that adventure is going to change.
Yeah.
Right now, I design the shows, I write all the music, and then inevitably when it needs to be rewritten, I plan all the rehearsals, I conduct all the rehearsals. Now, sometimes another guy will get on a tower or somebody will take over rehearsal for a half hour.
And that's the part you love. So you want to continue doing that.
But I do that. But I think that, well, I know for a fact, all the wheels are already in motion, that I'm not going to be running and rehearsing the program next year.
Okay.
I will still design and write. As I've gotten older, I've been more protective. I've gotten a little bit more conservative. I like fooling with things that I can control. I can't control if somebody misses practice, if some parent gets real mad over some decision I make, or if
and it happens.
Every day
It happens.
If somebody leaves their car in a lot and I have it towed and they come up and start screaming at me in the middle of band, I start
But that's your
screaming back.
practice field.
That's our practice field. But I'm still not I'm a lover at heart, not more than a fighter, and I don't like to scream at anybody. I don't like anybody to scream at me.
So you don't want to be towing people day to day.
No.
But you want to write the music.
Yeah, but if I write, and I've had several offers from school in Kentucky, every time the last 3 years, since actually going back to Mohica, which came in second, our music effect judges and the effect judges have loved the arrangements, the musical creativity, the way they're put together, the
How
flow.
many judges are there?
6.
Okay.
But the effect and music judges have all spoken about how much they love the arrangements and how creative and how innovative they are. So I'm going to shift more in my professional life to being a writer and a designer, and a little bit less from being a the part I hate, I guess I shouldn't admit this, but the part I hate is planning out all the rehearsals and trying to figure out, okay, because we got, Mark's not going to be on the football field for a half hour here. I can squeeze the color guard on the football field.
Yeah.
And I mean, all that's,
The day-to-day.
I need to be in the auditorium for 2 hours here, and I can put the color guard on the football field, and I can put the clarinets on the football field and clean up their drill. And that's all doable, but it takes an immense amount of time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes me longer to plan a rehearsal than it takes to
The
do a
actual
rehearsal.
rehearsal.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and sometimes I'll get at school at 5 or 6 in the morning and sit there in my computer and type up an itinerary for rehearsal. I'm 60 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was born January 17th, 1956. I'll be 61 in January. And that's a pretty good age for a guy that works 14, 15 hours a day. I'm ready to scale that back a bit.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit.
I have to
and
say,
I think it's well deserved.
with
You
all
deserve
respect
it.
with all respect to the fairer gender, my wife is ready for a band break too.
Yeah.
She's she's watched her friends pack up and go off on fall break and on spring break,
And you don't get that.
and I don't do that.
Right.
And to me, every once in a while we'll go to Myrtle Beach, we'll go to Smokies, and I'll hang out for a week, and I'll be fine. I'll think, oh, this is cool, and then I'll go back, and I'll be, I'm not a lot happier at Myrtle Beach than I am sitting in my office composing a show.
Yeah.
And I'm not a
'cause
lot
that's your
happier.
love.
I'm not a lot happier in Gatlinburg than I am in my office at school. I mean, my personal happiness meter doesn't change a lot, but I think she's seen her friends pick up and go places and do things while she sits at home and does the wash and pays the
listens
bill.
about band.
And while I stay gone all day.
Right.
And she's been retired for 7 or 8 years, so I think
She's ready.
she's ready.
She's ready.
And
well, there you have
a
it.
marriage. A marriage is a marriage.
That's right.
You have to.
There you have it. So breaking news right there. The rumors are out there. You know that. You've got to have people asking you about it. So
Well,
we're happy for you. It's well deserved. You're going out on top as a full-time job, going out on top. Now you can just do the parts you love.
right. And
I think it's fantastic.
I'm not going to ever. I love Madison Central. Madison Central has been as good to me as I have been to it. I'm not going to get a divorce. If they need me to climb the tower and fix a couple of sets of drill, I'm going to climb the tower and fix a couple of sets of drill.
You just
If-
got to call me.
I'm just not going to be up there at 6 begging you to fix your drill.
Right. In 100-degree heat.
Right.
Or the rain.
Our band camp days are pretty brutal.
Yes.
They're 9 to 9.
July, right?
July, 9 to 9. 3 hours in the heat until, and then another 3 hours.
We
of
shouldn't
playing.
talk about that because you won't be recruiting.
I haven't. Let me wax political for just a second.
You don't want to tell them how hard it's going to be.
I think people are driven to be in something where there's an obvious push to be good and there's
And successful.
You look at the cheerleaders, our cheerleaders. They work. I swear, I think they work harder than us because they work. They start. I know. I can hear them in a cheer gym.
Yeah, they start in May.
They start
Tryouts.
in May and blah blah blah, and then they're.
Go
I can
through
hear.
March.
I can hear them from on top of the tower doing their.
Yes.
And then they go all the way through March, and they have countless. I've seen them up there on Sunday mornings. I see Karen. Me and Karen see each other in that building more than anybody, including the head coaches. We are ships in the night in that building. So, but yet, I look down there and I always see a lot of girls down there, and I always see those girls doing a great job. I think people are. I think the perception is that people would rather not work hard, but I think in fairness, that people want to be part of something. I never lie to the kids. I don't say, "Oh, come on, it's a lot of fun."
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying.
I get
you
out there. I get out there and
just
say,
teasing you.
Sometimes they'll say a kid in the 8th grade go, "Do y'all really practice like until 9 at night?"
And you're like, "Yes,
"Yeah,
we do.
We do. But we have fun."
You got to be honest with them from the get-go, so that they're reality.
You know what's crazy?
I'm afraid to ask.
It's not. I don't think it's not.
Is it TV worthy?
It's TV. It's TV worthy. It's TV censored, but it's still kind of crazy. The hardest part of the season is marching band. We'll practice maybe 1 hour a week with a wind ensemble. If we're going to play at a KMEA convention or do something out of state, Bands of America thing, I'll practice an hour, 2 hours a week after school, and we'll have a jazz band that meets after school for an hour. And, the kids will all enjoy that, and it's fun, and they'll all give me a good effort. But no part of the season is as intense, is as absorbing. Those kids are way into marching band. As a matter of fact, we're going to have 4 or 5 kids this year try out for drum corps, which is just like a marching band on steroids. It's like where you live.
That's in the summer.
It's in the summer,
right?
And it's where they have 12-hour days for 4 months,
right?
And we have kids
carrying heavy drums,
carrying
right.
tubas or whatever. But we have kids. Literally, I'll see out there. Kids sometimes seem lost after it's over because they have something. There's just something magical about a competitive arena where you work really, really hard, shoulder to shoulder, and there's something kind of communal about that we've kind of lost in society.
Part of a team.
Yes.
The spirit.
School has become so much about the individual, and even sports has become more and more, like basketball, very individually oriented. There's something that gets lost about, and I think, Calipari talks about this all the time, but I think if you can touch into that team thing and get everybody to buy into that team thing, it's more fun. If you and I are competing against Randy and John, even in beach volleyball, there's something about working together and sacrificing ourselves to a greater good.
Yes.
That is really magical and kind of spiritual, and that's hard to, I know this all sounds crazy, but
I don't think it does, and I think people understand you. Because it's special, and you're not doing it for yourself anymore. You're doing it for the team.
If you look around Kentucky and you see bands that don't practice very hard and they're not very good, those bands aren't very big.
Right.
When you look around the state and you see the biggest bands, usually those bands are turning away kids. And so I don't necessarily think that hard work. I know the conventional wisdom is that hard work and success are deterrents, but I don't think they are.
Yeah. Listen, we could do 4 shows with you from all the stories.
I love talking to you guys too. I talk to a lot of reporters and people from Lexington and Richmond.
I know.
And you guys, I think, are the most fun.
And so we think the same thing, because it is the most special time to sit here and just. It's almost like we could reminisce, and I'm not even part of the team or have a child on the team, but you make it. Well, I think that's why it's so special to our viewers, because you want to include everyone and you want to make everybody feel so special. And that's what's so unique about the Madison Central Marching Band. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It is so exciting. Will you miss it if I take it home? No, I'm kidding. I would not do that, but I absolutely love it.
Again, we're very everyday, down-home folks. I see things in other bands say about us sometimes, and I just kind of laugh. They say, well, the reason Madison Central is so great is because it's, all the Eastern professors send their kids there. Most Eastern professors send their kids to Model.
To Model, right. Right.
We have very few professor kids in it. We have Peter Corey, his dad's a surgeon. We have every kind of demographic you can dream up. If you can dream up a demographic, we have it in the band program. And you know what? Whoever it is, they put on that uniform. It doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter what their daddy does for a living, or if they have a daddy, or if they have a great auntie.
They're part of the team.
They are the team, and they look the same in the uniform. And if they mess up, or if they perform exemplary or excellent, they get the same credit, and they mess up.
Same recognition.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
And
right.
you know, that's another great thing about the band. The band's very old school in that respect. But you know, the fact that those kids depend on each other, it drives a band director crazy, because you know, you got 215 kids and one kid makes a mistake, you got to go back there and try to do it all again, and it drives me out of my mind. But the fact that they depend on each other, it doesn't matter whether Ann, it doesn't matter whether Peter, it doesn't matter whether the Wits. If a kid, they all are interdependent on each other's success, and it teaches them to love and care about and appreciate each other.
Yes. And if one of them keeps messing up, you're going to say, hey, help him. Help her.
I'll say,
Let's fix it.
I have about a 3 repetition rule. If it doesn't get fixed in 2 to 3 reps, depending on, then I'll say, hey, Sarah Weiss, get with Joe Blow at 6 o'clock and take him off in the corner and work this out.
And work this again.
Yeah. I don't send out there and run 2,000 reps for some kid.
Over and over and
No.
over for some kid just to learn a 8 count.
No, if there's not. And I've been real lucky. This has been a really great senior class. I absolutely adore my seniors.
You're losing a lot of
I
seniors.
do. I'm losing about 56, I think, 55, 56.
That's
I
a
know.
lot. It's going to be a very different team next year.
Well, it's going to be different. It should be. We've got a great, our freshmen. I teach the top band at Central, but I also teach the youngest band. I think that's kind of fair. And my freshman band, they're not as experienced as the wind ensemble, but they're every bit as talented, and
Right.
and sometimes I enjoy those kids just as much or even more, because they're very fresh and they're aggressive. So I mean, there's going to be. You'd have to work really, really hard to screw that band program up. It could be.
Is that a threat to all your?
I'm just saying.
To all the people that's going to be there when
It's I don't know that it's destined to win forever. And I have the theory of gravity. What goes up must come down eventually.
That's true, and it will.
It will. One day,
and it will
one
be
day
a
they'll
devastating
call.
time.
One day they'll call North Hardin. Now they'll call Lafayette again. Lafayette will go.
But then you
crazy.
build it back up.
But then
You got something to aspire to again.
I don't think that I think it's kind of fair for everybody to occasionally win. But I could also see a scenario where if things go right, I could see them winning 5 or 6 in a row.
Wouldn't that be
So,
fantastic?
I
Just the thought of it.
But I
Making
do.
history.
So they're wonderful kids. But the last class of kids that I almost hand recruited a lot of these kids myself. That's not to say I didn't hand recruit other kids, and it's not to say the other kids aren't just as good. But this was one of those kind of band shaping classes. The last one went through, graduated in 2013, where it's a big, strong senior class, and you got lots of talent in every area. And that kind of is my thought too. There's a lot of band boosters that I've had with me forever that are going to graduate, and so this is a good time to let somebody else jump in.
Right. Well, we at Madison County School Sports Television, thank you for being with us. We are more than excited to have you bring the trophy, and we congratulate you on making history. And it is fantastic, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's always my favorite. It's always my favorite.
That's awfully nice. It's, like I said, you guys are of everybody I deal with. You're just so wonderful. You ask the great questions.
Well, good. That's my job.
I think it's because you're up at school, and I think you kind of understand the activities and stuff.
Yes.
But you always ask great questions, and every time when I watch
bring
these
you with
things,
me to all my interviews.
when I watch these on TV, I'm always real impressed at how
Well, thank you.
You mentioned last year doing a Daniel Boone thing. I still haven't forgot about that.
Oh, he's doing it.
I don't know, probably don't want to put this on TV, but I've always been ferociously interested in history.
There are a lot of people, and I'm going to close the segment, and then we'll let you two talk about Daniel Boone. thank you for joining us. On behalf of Madison County School Sports Television, congratulations.
Thank you.
And now we're going to talk about Daniel Boone.
Thanks to our great sponsors, Jack Burford Chevrolet, ExpressRoofing.net, Cumberland Valley National Bank, CSEP, State Farm Insurance, Jerry Goble Agent, Luxury Pet Services, Equipment, Sales and Rentals, May Marketing, KYMedia.net, Real Life Community Church, Time Warner Cable, and Madison County Schools.